Probably not. Amazing. I a decision that I will come to regret anyway. Ah, what's popping? There. Let me open stuff, I guess. Wait! I didn't open. No, 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 no. No. Started. There we go. Now we actually started. Supposedly. Somewhere. Something like that. Should I get? Should I? Isn't it necessary to have something like necessary? Wow. Necessary. What an amazing word. Isn't it useful to actually have like an actual ping bot? No, no, because it actually pings probably, so it's going to be like, oh no, this fucking bot pings people. I hate that. Anyway, also wait, can you hear this? You can, yeah. As long as I'm speaking. Wait. Let me check. Can you? Yeah, you can very in the background. It's like a very distant noise. It's like a sound that exists somewhere. It's like probably you're imagining the sound. No, in this case, it's not imagine. It does exist. It's real. It's hashtag. It's real. It's alive. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it works. It's amazing. We have a noise. Anyway, frames. What? What are you? No, no. Long English, no. Anyway, need stuff ready, I guess, no? Yeah. Shut up. Okay, there we go. Oh, basic. So, do I need to do anything else? Maybe. Maybe. Your wonder wall. I see it all. Wow. Wow. Uh, wait. I know what I'm forgetting. I am forgetting something. Can you shut up also? Okay. Ah, like always, I guess it has become like a sort of ritual of some kind. I need to always check the mic. No, I think it's working, but I need just to make sure. Should actually check the microphone volume, the audio level. It's perfect. What if I put it at like plus 300? Everybody goes deaf. Ah, anyway, any, any, anyway, no, anyway, we 4 minutes, 4 minutes of nothing. What do we do? 4 minutes. What's there to do in 4 minutes of absolute nothingness, man? Exist or something like that. I don't know. So far, how are we with the streaming stuff? Are we? Is this year gonna be better? Perhaps, maybe. I hope so. I would expect so. I don't know if it is actually going to be it. I have a literally one tiny thing to do, like what's one singular obligation, that is to open Vtuber, and I didn't do that. I couldn't bother to do that. I am amazing. True. Now it's open. Now I've played my card. What's your choice? No, but no, I was what was I saying? Don't remember. Anyway, happens. Life is full of things that you have forgotten about already, and not because they don't get, yeah, they don't matter, no, but rather because you simply just can't have so much stuff in your mind, you know. It's it's over. It's incredibly over. It's extremely over. But it can happen. It's it's part of the trip or something like that. I don't know. Also, is that dog gonna be screaming the entire night? Amazing. My favorite part of the act, when the dog goes bow bow bow. Ah, you know, I was taking a trip. At taking a trip involves willfulness, so no, I had to go out. I had to go out, and a dog bit me in the arm, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm bleeding," but it wasn't anything, so we are fine. Why do I tell you this? I don't know, man. We have 1 minute left. I don't have anything to actually set up today. Ah, it's so good. Can we aim? No. We we could try to aim for 4 hours. What? No, for 3 hours. I don't think I would personally. I think it's way too much in terms of mentally, not straining, but rather. Well, no, yeah, it's exhausting. Is the same thing. So, but the point is, I don't know, man. I should leave this thing. Imagine somebody comes to the stream and says, "Oh wow, what is this guy doing?" And all that you hear is something weird in the background and making constant noise, and there is no explanation whatsoever. I might completely ignore your question even. Amazing. It's incredibly annoying actually. It's only stress relieving for me, but for everyone else it's like suffering. Anyway, happens, I guess. Also, yeah, there is there is not much else to sit around for today, I guess. Good morning. It has now it actually has been like a long while. 2 days, 3 days. How long actually? Let me check. Like a while, a little bit. At the very least, a little bit. Yeah. Since July 17th, 18th. What did I do? Because I started late today. That's why we are on the 20th. It should be a stream corresponding to the 19th of January 2026. Uh, but it isn't. It's in my time zone already. Yeah, anyway, point being, yeah, here we are. After a long while, we finally get to be here. Yeah. Last time I tried to stream and it fucking died, so we can ignore that. We can act like that never happened, I guess. Will this one be any different? I hope so. I have no clue actually. I I want to video. And yeah, point being, I don't know. Welcome. It has been a long while. So much stuff has happened. Did any actual event go on in the world in the last 2 days? I think not, right? Maybe something happened and I already forgot, or didn't even learn out of that. So point being, don't take this place as your source of information. That has to be something crazy, actually, no? The whole aspect of wow, this guy is talking about something so specific to their moment, like oh yeah, I could, for example, I live in Argentina. I could talk about Argentinian economy today, like oh yeah, what price did the dollar have today, and that will not matter at all in 2 months, for example, even already. It stops having any weight whatsoever. It becomes something incredibly dead in itself. But we are not really that aware of how much the things that we talk about end up losing their relevance after a while. We're in a way, we're machines. Not truly, but we're just accustomed, let's say like that, yeah. We're incredibly accustomed to simply spout whatever we can, and in the process of doing so, inevitably, we end up committing, I wouldn't say a mistake, but yeah, committing the act of, ah, wow, let me also mention all these things that are incredibly specific, that to perhaps not most of the time, not exactly tomorrow, but a week from now, like I said, a month from now, even worse, a year from now, you hear about all of that and it's completely meaningless. It's it's more of a, I wouldn't say small talk, I guess. You could go as far as to say it's it's an interesting craft, the one that all of this kind of created to elongate so much topics of almost no relevance whatsoever, just to have something. And it's interesting, but yeah, no, it's it is still avoidable, I guess, and it's nice to do that actually. Uh, but yeah, point being, I don't know, no, nothing really happened. So good to be back, I guess. I live the wonderful experience of life and existence and whatnot. Also, it hasn't lagged again. I don't know why I lost 100 frames for some random reason, but we are fine. Besides that, I don't know, not not really much to say. No, sorry. It has been actually an incredibly lot since I haven't even realized, or I don't consciously do that, the act of not having as many of these type of streams, I guess, um, so close to one another. I don't do that willingly. I we already did have a lot of that when I did have the older PC and whatnot. That was the norm, yeah. And nowadays, I guess between it's the wonderfulness of all the different choices and whatnot. Once you actually have something that you might want to try, you end up realizing that, funnily enough, yeah, you might actually go for it, And in this case, yeah, it has happened that I I think it's something somewhat sorry pretentious to claim of yeah, since exactly the last stream of since the last Freeform, as they are all called, this kind of non-discussions, yes, I know there are still discussions, but no, yeah. More shapeless. The title, let's say, is referring to the way in which we conduct ourselves, yeah. In almost, or between almost all of them, there is a degree of progression of some kind, in some direction, and yeah, in this case, it has been very interesting. I think since the last time I finally got a lot more calm, and I have finally gotten back on track with learning and whatnot. And I guess I am still amazed by the whole aspect of yeah, you can actually learn what you want to learn about. It's amazing. It's surprisingly enough, if you can actually find something that you care about, it's it might be difficult to actually find everything associated with that. It the worst thing that could happen to you is to find too much information available about what you're trying to learn. But I think everything that can be explored itself is available, and anything that is not possible to truly be understood becomes apparent fast enough so that we are not questioning ourselves if it is the case or not, that we are truly not capable of reaching any comprehension, or not capable of, yeah, I don't know, exploring this new field. Like let's say, what category are we under? Philosophy. So we have a new philosopher that tries to design their own particular method of doing philosophy. Maybe until that happens, or no, from the moment in which that becomes a reality to the moment in which that becomes a more established branch of philosophy, maybe there are 200 years, perhaps only 100, only 50, only 20. Still, there are years of distance, and during that time, you can at the very least understand that, yeah, well, I can't try to find anything to. I won't find anything because there is nothing truly being produced out this thing. That is the quality that is apparent. And what's on the other hand, what I do call worse is the whole aspect of wow, but I like something so much, and I could explore literally everything that there is out that just to see what I actually find interesting, and all of that is not only interesting, not only surprising, but also astonishingly filled with the things to try and try in itself, so to speak, no? And it's, yeah, there is like one close, so to speak, and that also, wait, didn't I? I did fix this, but, a wonderful. Can I ungroup you? Can I remove you from the group? You're now ungrouped. Sorry for the minuscule subtitles. There were. Why are they so big now? Are they? Are they too big? No. Okay. Perfect. Anyway, I was saying. Let me actually change it a little bit in size. Like that. It will, yeah. It will reshape itself no matter what I do. Like that. Test. Okay, yeah. Yeah, works a little bit more. But yeah, anyway, I was saying, sorry. I forgot that I fixed that, but it broke again. I was saying, and I don't know, it's unavoidable. There are some categories in itself, or I wouldn't say that it is a category, it's more along the lines of unavoidably, if you don't really understand what you're trying to choose, what you're going for, you might condemn yourself to way too much of a load in terms of, wow, I'm trying to actually explore all of these things, when in reality, I am only in truth, in truthness, so to speak. I want to read philosophy. That's way too much of a broad statement. I want to read about biology, that's way too much of a broad statement. I want to explore physics, mathematics, in any kind of field. I want to watch the news. Which kind of news? There is everything out. There is too much out everything, sorry. And yeah, it's to some degree the choice is, or the initial conflict is to actually find something that does feel in itself good enough to actually explore. And once that is done, then it becomes a little bit more doable. The whole aspect of, wow, I won't have any issue whatsoever at just going for whatever. But it's that's a basic statement of, yeah, I want to read out philosophy. What do you want to read out? What do you want to study? What are you actually interested in seeing? What do you want to hear? What is your goal to being with anything? Stuff of that sort is what makes the initial desire a lot more manageable, I guess. Yeah, and in that sense, it's not so much that wow, once I can finally declare all that I needed to see, I can establish what I truly want to explore. Then after that, I have still a hard time. Not so much. It's not so common to have a hard time once you understand exactly what do you want to do. It's not so difficult. It's more the eternal discussion of how wow you're. It's not that you are being affected by something negative. It's rather that you are overwhelming yourself with all the possibilities. You are perhaps, let's say like this, you are overwhelming your mind with all the possible pathways that you could take. So you need to manage and decrease the amount of stress that comes from, wow, no, I could read this and I could explore this and I could watch these movies and I could hear all of this music and I could, oh my god, so incredibly boring, so incredibly painful in an unnecessary way, and I don't know, it's fine, as I was saying, yeah. Personally speaking, I have found that it's quite nice actually to once again find what needs to happen, I guess. Yeah. And I don't know, after that, everything else has felt a lot calmer, I guess. That will be the expression, yeah. A lot more comfortable. Life is, in some cases, it does feel like we truly stress way too much about things that might possess a degree of importance, but in the grand scheme of things, don't need to be so overthought. So yeah, it's as always, no? Trying to learn how to manage all of that and continue with the rest of the process that is called being alive without, I don't know if that is the correct way to say it, but yeah, without failing in the process, I guess. And so far, it's good. It's good. I can I can accept that it's so far nice. And yeah, what where did this come from? I was saying that, and since or yeah, since the last session of these ones, and in between almost all of them, there is always some degree of change, and I guess it's is it expected? I wouldn't call it so. I sadly there is one quote: the more everything changes, the more everything remains the same. Yeah, on one hand, that's true. You are not here having incredibly changed visuals or completely revamped aspects of any kind, so to speak. What we have at best is just also it's lying now. Well, what we it died. It didn't die. It died. It didn't die. It didn't die. Okay. Anyway, I was saying we don't have all that much of a visual spectacle in any way, but it doesn't mean that still we what we deal with the most is ideas. So it's all of that always is in a constant state of transformation, transfiguration, evolution. I wouldn't say evolution. Simple reshaping and repurposing and all of that, And yeah, unavoidably, it's not just interesting, but also it's good to have that. I guess at some point you learn to be comfortable with the reality that things are going to change, and it's nice to have that much happen. Otherwise, it feels bad to not have anything in any way be modified, so to speak. It's perhaps even a little bit sad that we we can we can always try to do better, and we can always aspire to be in an even better position, so to speak, in terms of life itself, existence, and whatnot, no? And surprisingly enough, it's something that is lacking. I was trying to say that before. It shouldn't be expected. Perhaps here we can say that it is expected that between all of these conversations there is always some degree of change. It's good to have that much happen. The stillness involved with literally nothing ever being modified is would be depressing even in that sense. Ideas, I don't know, when you listen to somebody talk out what they are thinking, so to speak, at least personally, I feel like it's quite sad when they always remain in the same 3 or 4 handful of things. It's one of those characteristics that makes the act of having those conversations with others, I wouldn't say a lot harder, but somewhat difficult to actually have. Also, it's lagged anyway, and it's not just it happens in a way. It also is that, man, and despite it all happening, it's true that some people do have that, but here we get that privilege, and I wouldn't say it's something. I wouldn't call it nice enough. Some degree of consistency, no, not so much inconsistency. Basically, the whole aspect of security behind knowing that things you come here tomorrow and you ask out certain things and my mind won't have changed. In the grand, that's a very huge overgeneralization. In the grand scheme of things and whatnot, perhaps I have not changed that much. True, very very correct assessment. That much is correct, but in the lesser realm, in the less important, less affected realm, sadly, much of the things that we tend to think about are susceptible to change, and it's nice to exert that possibility. It's always something that I guess, it could lead to something. The question is what, for which purpose, so to speak, why, and who would even want that doing with anything, no? And all of that is good, and it's nice, but yeah, it's very surprising that yeah, I I would say we don't come to have this happen that often. I guess it's not that I think it's bad. Once again, it just happens unconsciously. I would say more along the lines of yeah, somehow the tendency, no matter how much I like it, is I can't really seem to force myself to do them more. It's quite complicated actually, and that much is true, but at the same time it's good. Anyways, it's an it's something that with the scarcity becomes more special. I don't think that's the correct word, but something like that. Yeah, yeah. And point being that yeah, in the end, it's good. It's very good to have this, and as always, no, it's final message. What's the conclusion of all of that? Yeah, it's basically a very roundabout way of saying that it's the expression of thankfulness for being here, for having the opportunity of continuing to be here. I guess you wouldn't have expected that we would have lasted so much despite all the hiccups along the way and whatnot. Yeah, amazingly enough, here we are, and we are not failing in being here, which also is beautiful in a way, and it's it's very good. I cannot I cannot complain actually, and yeah, it's all of that, and I guess always much more, but that much more that remains in the shadows, so to speak. That much more that is even harder to express. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let me drink something. I say it's not that I have actually not been hydrating myself. Summer is that time in which you actually need to do that. So, but yeah, and I don't know. I remember one of the few things that I remember having seen recently is a meme that was along the lines of, "Ah, wow, this this year barely started and everyone is so over it or so tired of it." I don't actually understand what's going on in that sense. I do feel that sensation. I don't actually have any reasonable explanation whatsoever. I think it's I. The only thing I can actually guess is perhaps it doesn't actually feel like a new year yet. Maybe I don't know. I can say it from a personal perspective. It's incredibly meaningless, the whole division of years and months and whatnot. Every single day is almost the same as the last one. The things that they do change the most are the seasons, I guess. And, oh yeah, the sun sets earlier or later, which in some cases doesn't even affect anyone. In the end, some countries have those rules of, ah, yeah, today the sun rises a little bit later, so we are gonna have an extra late hour to compensate for this change in the sun and in the day and night cycle basically. And all of that, yeah, does exist, but besides that, what else changes? The celebrations that we have and whatnot. And it's all of those categorical conceptual creations, things that do exist mentally speaking. They are not out there. You don't find anything that perfectly signals when it is January, when it is February, when it is March, when it is April, and any of those things are not actually ordered in or yeah, shown naturally in anywhere else. And that's, I wouldn't say good or bad, it's just that, yeah, people, I feel like personally, maybe, yeah, the eternal desire to not be in an echo chamber of sorts, mirroring what is my personal experience as if everyone else was also going through the same, but yeah, perhaps it is, I guess. It might even be a personal wish to say, it might be happening that actually finally people are saying, ah, wow, yeah, this was all in the end a fucking construct, you know? Wow. Unsurprisingly, let's celebrate New Year's, let's celebrate Christmas, let's celebrate so much stuff. Which, is there any actual reason to do so? It's just a thing that we even vaguely say matters. We don't even have any actual weight behind that claim of, ah, yeah, this thing possesses some degree of importance. This thing represents anything to me, actually. It's something that everyone knows about, but besides that, no one person truly cares that much in general. It's a very rare thing to actually find the people who care about the festivities and the holidays and whatnot. And it's understandable. But the point is that, yeah, I feel like perhaps when we start to lose things of that sort, of that nature, everything else also comes along the way. People have a lot easier of a time to, or with the understanding, with the realization that, yeah, sadly, we don't have that many certainties, we don't have that many things that matter in our life. So today doesn't change that much from yesterday, from tomorrow. What might matter a lot more is what I do myself to feel good, but at the same time, I open my phone, I open, yeah, I, is that the correct expression actually? I am thinking of that, perhaps it is. I open my phone and I go and use some applications and I end up seeing all the stuff that is out there and whatnot, and all of that doesn't really change me that much. My life isn't really that much altered in any way because of all of those things. And the only thing that it does possess a degree of importance, that is to try to have a personal good life, is, I wouldn't say strange, is far more complicated than what the promise of the virtual world has to offer. Everything else in the virtual landscape is far more fantastical in nature, because it is in itself truly not natural at all. But we are accustomed to not having to actually talk about those aspects. Everything feels a lot more fantastical, a lot more surreal or irreal, based on pure imagination. It's, perhaps that's the proper way to say it. Even the modern internet, the modern virtual landscape has become that way in which we have finally found some way to reconnect with what I have mentioned before, that child fantasy of old, that inner child fantasy of, ah, yeah, all of these things possess some degree of importance and whatnot. And I wouldn't say that it's only good. Yeah, it's amazing to have that happen, and I am glad. In the end, I cannot actually complain about that myself. It's pretty much what allows stuff like this to exist. I don't have anything to disparage about, because yeah, if we didn't have all of those other enablers, we will not be sitting around the bonfire today, and we would not be relaxing like we do, or worrying about the things that we can worry because of all these other inventions that are internet and the so globalized access to smart dispositives and whatnot, and it's nice, but sometimes it is still harder to actually understand what all of those things are, not because the concepts themselves are hard, but rather because is it truly a proper perception? Am I going in the correct pathway? Am I not misusing this thing? Isn't it something so fantastical? Aren't I doing something wrong? Tomorrow, no, today. Today I decide to use my entire day to simply play something, And isn't that bad? Aren't I doing something negative actually? Should I be focusing on something else instead? Shouldn't my mind be? Shouldn't my eyes be at a different place? Shouldn't things be different basically? It shouldn't be so much of a surprise to try to think out things in that way. But yeah, unavoidably, the common denominator might not need to worry about that. One of the best things that always comes with being so much more busy in life and using stuff of this sort just to relax oneself is an interest, lack of interest to actually discuss with oneself, try to disclose to oneself if what we are doing might at all be good or bad for us in terms of, yeah, perhaps this is the not so correct pathway, this is the not so useful thing to do, this is the not so beneficial for me thing to try and what's not, and it's good. In the end, it's how we have learned to operate, and it's just a part of living, so to speak. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, despite all of that, it's good. And nowadays, perhaps it's an incredibly subjective experience type of a statement, no? But I think like it's not so hard to have a good time. Actually, it's not so complicated. It's just necessary to find out how to do that, how to do it consistently, and how to get out of those bad moments that do exist anywhere else. But besides that, it's so nice. The present has actually become far more of a, or can become far more of a true, in the more literal sense of the word, present thing. As in the whole expression of, yeah, yesterday is already gone, tomorrow is yet to come, but the present is the only thing that we have. That's why it's called so, because it is our only gift, or something like that. Along those lines, it is that I say, yeah, that's why this our present it's quite amazing actually, and it's good to have that happen. I feel like it might even be more necessary to try and possess any degree of awareness about that unavoidably, but that's maybe that's asking too much, no? Already with having the chance to mention from time to time that wow, today has been a good day, or any day in which I didn't die has been a day in which I kept being. That's the eternal discussion of wow, sometimes I don't feel like I want to keep living, for example. That's that's the elephant in that sentence, so to speak. Yeah, what are you trying to actually say? Because yeah, in the end, unavoidably, it almost is even a tendency to find oneself in that state of no, you know what? I hate this. I I regret so much having to continue yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and so on for the rest of this almost in sensations, in feelings, eternal life, never ending existence, fully tormenting life of mine. And do not have to feel like that is good already. Not not to be like, take pity on them, on they who get not to share the wonders of not seeing life in the darkest tones possible. Feel ecstatic and rejoice at the awareness of your ownness not being something that you are displeased with, but rather it's more along the lines of simply, yeah, it's nice to be, and it's good to not have to feel like being is somehow bad, because in the end, yeah, it's a lot more of a common event to see that happen, to hear others go and spout something along those lines, because yeah, this is a good world actually. And being capable of finding that is already good. Being capable of believing in that is nice, I will say. But I don't know, yeah. It's always something complicated. I always, when I talk with my family, we always have I wouldn't say a discussion at this point, but a strong conversation and something that always creates an argument between us, and that is the constant need to consume stuff like the news or more media oriented to the immediateness of life rather than those which are oriented to the wider spectrum of existence, which is everything else, And when you allow that to be, when you let that exist in your own personal experience, I feel like it's cool to be far more damaging. I won't go as far as to say literally no human ever could take that much and survive. There are people who can surprisingly tank, so to speak, all of those things to such a degree that they do not at all feel in any way bad, in any way negatively affected. So it, it doesn't imply, it doesn't mean that literally no one can but there is an area of success astonishingly low, and it's not something that comes out of just existing. It's something that those who try to keep only consuming that or keep only themselves in those pathways can do after years of trial and error. And in this case, yeah, it's for the rest, it's almost an ensured, I wouldn't say failure, but less primed sensation, less heightened being, I guess. You know, amazing. I hope next thing you plow is a field. You shoveless. No, sorry. I. Sorry. But welcome, say. Say that. Say that. T. Say that. T. Goat. Say that. T. Say that. Say. Sorry. I committed to do it. Yeah. I have to finish that. But no, yeah. It's life. It's everything and nothing at the same time, I guess. I don't know. But no, I guess. Can I actually say the say sound? No, I know how to say the say sound. I just had a mental brain fog and I forgot how to say it the other day. I know how to actually speak English properly, but it's way too uncomfortable for me to use correct English pronunciation. That's why I don't. There is a whole concept. You have to shift your tongue position, and it changes a lot of also the way in which you sound, and I don't like that. I prefer to sound like this. Also, it's like, yeah, English, long English, no. Real English pronunciation is way too uncomfortable in my mouth, I guess. I am, to that much I can admit, yeah. I am already accustomed to the more, what is this language? Latin derived words and vocals, pronunciations and whatnot. If you can visualize it, which is associated with the end of the tongue, basically, instead of with the back of the tongue, like on English. What? Come on, say it. When you're short game based, that's why you have no. Sorry, I won't say that. I won't say that. I want to be so mean. I have to work on that, man. I don't. Why is meanness the first response? Why can't we love each other more? No, but yeah, it's it's not so good to instantaneously reply with a let's see how you take this sour joke, I guess. It's not that they are bad, but it's more along the lines of, I guess, there is so more to any conversation than that, no? You always need to be so basic, so I gotcha. Got you off guard with my want to, you know? But, yeah, it happens, We are working, we are trying to be better, perhaps, maybe. Hopefully, I guess, yeah. Trying to be something else, I guess. I wouldn't say, yeah. I always fear actually saying I am trying to be better. Ever since that, I guess, expression. Why do I always use expressions? I have to work on that actually. But the whole concept of the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I think it's quite not preposterous, but dangerous to say, yeah, I am trying to do better. I am trying to be a better person. What the fuck does that mean? How are we so sure that we are actually doing something good? That we are not going into the wrong direction? That we are not actually hurting others in our desires to become a better version of what? Ourselves? What we used to be? The human itself is not designed to be perfect. We have to aspire now to this almost unreachable level of yeah, I am today a lot more good than before. What does that mean? It's dangerous, I will say, and yeah, I don't know. Trying to be better and trying to be something that doesn't create as much negativity, I guess, which might not be the same at all. Doesn't that whole eternal, I guess, when you lose yourself in the semantics of things, what is the opposite of good? Not good, bad, negative. Who actually knows? Depending on who you actually ask, it literally has different answers. So, yeah, I don't know. Try to be something else. Trying to not cause more suffering, I guess. Let's say it like that. But yeah, where did that conversation come from? What the fuck? My God, I guess I don't know. I tend to incredibly space out in these streams, and I don't know. Is it a more stream of consciousness? Perhaps. Yes, it happens. But aren't we all streams of consciousness which gets to embody our physical shapes, even if just for a bit, just to every single night try to go back to that realm of dreams in which we are liberated from the prison of flesh, from not incarcerated anymore, even if we still use such vessels inside of all of those fantastical non-memories, fictions of the mind, which last only for as long as we're asleep. But yeah, it's good anyways, it's life. And so far it's interesting. But yeah, I don't know, I remember I was trying to go somewhere before. As in, I was trying to actually say something, but it's hard to do. It's hard to be formless and at the same time have an erection, it's like you just expand. It's like being a piece of moss which can grow anywhere. It's hard to try to manually take one direction. You just are, I guess. Yeah, yo, welcome. Good evening. Today we are not reading, sorry. I defrauded you. No, sorry. It's I don't know. I'm happy at the very least we got to read a lot last time, so with that much I am happy, yeah. But it's such a long book. I think yeah, unavoidably I don't want to burn myself out. People I don't know. I I envy those who can sit down and just read endlessly in terms of I will do it today and tomorrow and so on until the day that I die. Personally, I can't. No matter how much I like the things that I am reading, there comes a moment in which I find myself incredibly exhausted. And yeah, I feel like, in that sense, it's prone to happening that if we push too hard at that machine, I might find myself one day sadly not being as desiring to continue reading, perhaps. Not because it's not a good thing to read. Once again, it could be the most mind nurturing thing. Most. What are those categories? Food for the soul kind of reading that you can perform, yeah, but even then, I don't know, some kind of opposition, some kind of lack of will of some sort. Who actually knows? Point being, yeah, it's good evening. I hope you're very well. We are just just chilling, I guess. That's the most basic way to say it. Yeah, yeah. Just the comfort of nothing, of the transitional space between something else of what was before and something else of what will be tomorrow. As in, perhaps not exactly tomorrow, but the next stream also, yeah. It's that break? Is it a break? I would actually say, I don't know, a true break will be something far less consisting of thought, far more calm, no? This is weird, but we are accustomed to that, I guess. We are, aren't we all a little bit weird in the end? Aren't we all, in some way, shape, or form, out of norm, despite all the efforts to fit within those boundaries which we have come to feel like needed to rule our existences and see as the most necessary parts of what we are. Formlessness? No, 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 no. The format itself is just that. It's nothing. There is no format. You have something that you want to ask? Go ahead. Otherwise, it's just me speaking. I have nothing particularly in mind. It's literally from random thing to random thing. And yes, it's just that. That's what it means. Yes. That will be a good explanation actually, yeah. That's a very simple one. I don't know. I have some stuff, but until I finally reach them, it will take a long while. Implying that I actually do it. Implying that I don't lose myself in my own words. Yeah. Do I love listening to myself? No, not so much actually. I Is it a proper thing to say? Perhaps it's to some degree the instrument of knowing that, yeah, otherwise, some things, getting to think out the stuff in general, in ways like this, end up leading to conclusions that otherwise I wouldn't have been capable of hearing, sadly, in many occasions, despite the simple enough solutions and answers to many of those said questions. It does happen that I find it to be the case that people is not that willing to actually talk about anything, and it's therefore tiny spaces like this one end up being useful. Personally, for me, I always love to, even if it doesn't feel that good, just think. In this case, I guess it wouldn't simply be even thinking out loud. It will be more of a shared experience. Yeah, it's that other aspect that it's useful, but sadly I don't find it replicated anywhere, man. And it's so. Is it irritating? It's sad, not irritating. The irritation is the first, the most accessible answer always, no? But the true sensation is, man, truly, some people could get so many answers to their own questions if they actually sat down and thought about what was trolling their existence in some way, no? And try to do that. Unavoidably. Caveat is, this is in no way, shape, or form. Uh, yeah, let's talk out my personal problems. I don't that much. I don't like to do. Yeah, but it's more along the lines of wow, this thing that I have yet to actually comprehend, this concept that I haven't exploring, and all of this other stuff that I assume that I have understood. Let's see. Do I actually understand it? Can I actually make an understandable explanation out of that, or am I going to fumble my way? Is it going to be actually anything? It's that illusion of yeah, I believe that I know, when in reality I am not at all aware of anything. I don't understand anything. I just say that I know stuff because I want to feel that degree of satisfaction when people looks at me and they hear that I have said that I understand. But the eternal fear of scrutiny when others actually ask, yeah, do you know? No, I don't know. But I say that I know because it's easier than to admit that I spent so much time trying to understand it and I still don't. But yeah, in that sense, it's the process of, wow. Unavoidably then, yeah. One of the many reasons is also that, yeah, we end up here to talk about stuff of that sort. I don't know. I have a hard time ever tried bring your thoughts on paper. Yeah. I like to do that. I always find it interesting. I have a harder time than most people, I guess. That I I cannot admit that much. No, I do find myself having ADHD, so it's quite complicated to have a simpler time focusing on writing down anything. It's not like yeah, it comes so naturally. No, I'm not a natural at that, but uh, I have slowly become capable of making myself understandable. I I find, yeah, I don't know. It has. It's not that every single person who reads what I have written will understand, but when I want, it can happen. And yeah, it's useful to do that. It's useful. It's There is a whole aspect of that also. Of It's necessary to do that to some degree. The whole I write down what I am saying or what I am thinking. Therefore, I have to also analyze what I am expressing internally. The whole mental aspect of wow, my internal speech, when it becomes, even if it is just externalized as a writing, it already is being judged by me differently. It's going how much so writing essays last year, like for my own, almost like taking notes of what happens in my brain. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the most useful things to do. It's You also have the whole other aspect of you have to write down and later on come back to that. You have always to rely. If you don't write anything out, if you if you just sit down and let's say resolve what was trolling you before mentally, from a more psychological standpoint of I have these things that troll me. I will try to just think about them until I reach a point in which they troll me no more. If you don't write anything of that down, the problem can disappear, but with the problem, the awareness of the existence of the problem also goes most of the time. So it's a completely different method. Once you get to write stuff, and once you get to actually express what happens to you in that way, you get to have a record. You get to have a more coherent view to what you were. It's nice. What I don't know. It's difficult still. It's I am not somebody who keeps anything like a diary or such. I was saying I write for others. I don't really write for myself. I I talked more from the experience there in terms of, yeah, if I have to think out the stuff that affects me in any way, I just think about it, and the way in which it stops being a trouble, I also sadly forget about its existing at all. Perhaps some passing event brings up the memory of what used to be a situation before, but if that doesn't happen, I will hardly, if ever, remember again what was, I don't know, any bad situation, But still, it's not like, no, that's why I don't like them. No, it's a completely different set of reasons. But I think it's wonderful. And I don't know, yeah. I remember, for example, there is something wonderful also out of that. People needs to write more. We One of the few things that I have seen happen is we don't really understand how wonderful it is to actually learn to communicate more efficiently in terms of I understand what words mean. I can communicate effectively. Sometimes when you're reading what you wrote, you realize what the fuck did I try to mean when I was saying that. It's a whole process of sentence forming that has to happen in paper before you can do it so naturally in any other form of speech or such. And I I think, yeah, on a level it should be far more encouraged, but if the educational system doesn't do it, who are we to propose it as such a necessary thing, no? But yeah, it's good. It's good. I cannot say that it is bad. I I guess there are ways in which it can become negative. Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, there is also a whole aspect of, sadly, when you are in the moment, even more if you're writing only for yourself, many expressions that in the instant come from the whole aspect of, yeah, this is what I was thinking exactly as I was writing it down. That thought leaves your mind, and with that thought goes the comprehension of the whole sentence altogether. It's it's something that I guess once you can finally see that happen more and more, you start to see, wow, these things exist inside of me. I have these expressions that I somehow use more, or things that I say that make no sense once I revised them, but it's it's good. At least I can see it now. Perhaps I can solve it. The whole aspect of awareness equals evolution in a way. It involves not just awareness, it also the willful awareness in terms of, yeah, I can see it and I can understand what it is actually. I can see it and I can say that, wow, perhaps I want to understand myself a little bit more. You can unavoidably stay stuck in, no, I am somebody who writes so cryptically, nobody understands what I say. Not even I myself understand what I am writing. It's it's not just that awareness itself brings change, but awareness plus other things, yeah. Plus the desire to modify those aspects that might be seen as negative, as annoying, who knows. But yeah, it's good. And I was saying, I don't know, I feel like it's good to have stuff like this, yeah. It's necessary and it's an eternal practice in a way. There are so many things to always talk out. Life itself is full of so many situations, the ever changing events that occur throughout the existence of oneself. It's not a matter of I will solve everything that my life has to offer, because in the end, the more you try to solve, the more you realize more situations could arise out of that. So it's just that, yeah, it's, as I was saying before, sadly it doesn't happen otherwise. And I feel like, yeah, it's good to have this. And I was the direction that I was particularly trying to use. It's and in the end, because there are also so many other things to try to bring to the table, like we literally just had the conversation for what, in other terms, could be even said as journaling, as writing down, keeping a personal, not the more simplified version that we used to have of, yeah, I have a diary. It is still a diary, a personal diary, but that thing which you truly write for your own self, which you truly care about, which truly carries all your own ideas, and which truly allows you to see that other aspect of your own self that perhaps just in the habitation of your own mind doesn't become apparent. That kind of diary that is wonderful to have. And stuff like that is nice because, once again, it's not just one thing that exists out there. There are so many concepts. This world is so full of ideas. It's wonderful. It's so sad to hear people say, no, yeah, there is nothing interesting. How much you have tried to see that, man? This world has so many amazing things to read. Have you truly explored everything to conclude that, oh no, yeah, nothing is interesting to me? I I will point in a different direction. I don't think that there is literally nothing interesting in this world. This world has something for everyone. Issue is, can that everyone find it, or are we going to stay behind in the process of trying to reach that? But yeah, it's good. And I was trying to say, I don't know. Also happens that while writing, one realizes that the language one uses is insufficient to express what one has in mind. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The the whole aspect of, I realize sometimes that I'm incredibly basic in my own expressions. Sadly, my vocabulary is way too repetitive. I cannot really express what I am exactly feeling. I cannot identify the sensations with accuracy with the handful of words that I already know. So I need to go out there, explore, and discover all the other aspects. There is one thing that is, it, it is still a psychological concept, no, but it's called, I actually forgot the name. It basically has to do with that. In many ways, the capacity to actually identify, even with words, what you're feeling is something that leads to even more troubles. Basically, that's the basic definition. It has a term, but the concept doesn't need the word. But yeah, it's wonderful to have the capacity to see that sometimes. Yeah, I have a sensation. I don't even know what kind of sensation it is. I have something. I don't even know what that thing does, but I have it. But I can try to do something to finally identify it, and with that, do something else. And with that, get to somewhere. And perhaps if that thing that I have doesn't feel as good, get rid of it. Perhaps if that thing deserves a little bit more attention, in the sense of, yeah, perhaps I need to dedicate some time to this new found aspect of myself. Ah, amazing. Now I can do it, but once again, it needs the first aspect of, yeah, trying to do that work. Sadly, it's it's so much of that always reliant on the will. So much of what I was saying before. So much of this whole process relies on will, sadly, and we have such a hard time actually explaining to people, yeah, you need to truly possess a will to exist in this world. You cannot be an empty cadaver, a cadaver who is walking around this world without any purpose whatsoever. We still have such an issue telling people that, yeah, you might as well deserve to have something to go for towards, some sort of goal, some sort of hope, some sort of dream. And all of that ends up making everything else harder. Why would you ever sit down to write if there is no reason to do so? Why would you ever sit down to explore what there is to know if you don't have any reason to do so? It's complicated, but I don't know. I that much I can admit. I feel like I am getting to some degree. I wouldn't say intoxicated, but incredibly bored of the repetition of the most basic analysis that are being created nowadays about how the societies are. Of no, yeah, everybody is in a nihilistic state or in a pessimistic state. I don't think so. People don't even have that way of an argument. Sadly, the moment in which you engage in a conversation with most, you end up realizing maybe they are not the most intelligent human being. Wow, astonishing that not everyone is incredibly clever. But the most important aspect is they don't really have amazing arguments for many of the things that they do. We are far more based different, on a different way of existence. We are far more based on something instinctual, perhaps. Once, while writing about aesthetics and art, it occurred to me to simply create a neologism. So I create what? Stromatopolaesis. What? A literal new neologism. Are you? Sorry. I I was trying to say because there is one association with neologisms, which is are you crazy? People who are crazy use that word are found to utilize neologisms. But no, yeah, sorry, it was a joke. I am trying to not joke so much. Uh, but can you actually explain, or are you just going to say, yeah, this word? So true, brother. I I don't know. I remember. I guess it has become an old neologism also. The whole aspect of the word, no word, character, theta, the one that is like a B, but with the belly in the middle instead of at the bottom, or like a something that is between the P and the V. That's theta, and that has existed for a long while. I also saw that. I think language is wonderful, but we are making us enough usage of that ourselves. Also, perhaps I might need a tiny break. I didn't realize and I have been drinking way too much water. Yeah, perhaps I will take a tiny expressionist idle break. Give me 2 seconds. So if you feel like explaining or something while I'm gone, if not, thank you so much for that. For no explanation whatsoever. Anyway, yeah, give me a second. No background noise. I don't know. Concentrate very hard and listen to the sound of your blood running through your veins. What I was going? Amazing. Wonderful. Thank you, Twitch. Thank you so much. What a beautiful gift to come back to. My most beloved possession about me. Give me a second. Where are you, Mr. Bot? There we go. Physically eradicated. There we go. No. Misclick. Anyway. Wow. Good evening. We're back. With the scheduled schizorambling. No, no, no. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't use negative language on yourself. You don't see how much it hurts your soul to make fun of yourself. You don't get how bad it affects you to be constantly referring to your own person as something bad. Have a little bit more decency and talk highly of your own person with respect as much as you do with others. Don't use that sort of language, even jokingly. But no, anyway. Did the microphone change volume, perhaps? Or am I just not speaking, looking directly at the mic? Favorite part of directional microphones that they sometimes not work. What happens? Anyways, I don't know. Also, lag, amazing. My favorite part of streaming when there is lag. But no, I wasn't really saying anything actually. Encoding overloaded. That's today we are going to ponder about encoding overloaded. No, I don't know. One of the many things that I remember, I wanted to give us an example when I was thinking about stuff to talk about in terms of things that someday we might get to discuss. In the end, I have ended up fun. It absolutely crashed. Is this stream going to die actually? Is this for real? I'm going to have a mental breakdown right now. Work, internet, it's amazing. It's going to lag the whole time. What a wonderful thing. Anyway, no. Now. We have 5 seconds of stability. Let me finish my idea. I was saying, one of the things that I remember wanting to mention before, in the whole aspect of ideas to share here too, is I think unavoidably somehow it does feel like it's necessary for people to explore who Hegel was. I hope one day we actually get to do that. Very, 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 very incredibly, slightly, not directly. I don't like to do that, actually. I don't like to talk about anyone so deeply. Also, let me see. I had to check my notes. Stromatopolyesis is the poetic is dramatic process by which art produces layers of reality and meaning. It does not immediately describe pre-existing layers, but rather names the poiesis. I am fucking blind. I am incredibly blind, sorry. Of the stromes, the genesis, segmentation, and reorganization of material, formal, sensory, symbolic, and historical levels within the work. Yeah. I see. I mean, it seems to me. Have you read, just in case, all the field of what are they called? I will have to actually Google it. Give me a second, so that I can give you a reference. What is his philosophy? This guy is linguistic, but can you give me the exact? Semiology, there we go. Finally, 3 hours of Googling later, semiology. Have you explored that whole field? Particularly, okay, yeah. Concession is semiology has an issue. It mostly pertains to the analysis of the symbolical values associated with the whole field of words themselves, language. That's why semiology supposedly is one of the, or semiotics is the field that should be the father science of linguistics. Okay, but also in the newer iterations of it, you also have one that does try to pay a lot more attention to this whole thing that you talk about, the the realm of the visuals, the realm of the things that are created thanks to those representations and meanings that are created by the imagery and the symbols and whatnot. Because yeah, I have heard about that from that field. I I identify, or I feel like that idea could be closer to that. Perhaps that can help you with that for your own investigations, so to speak. So yeah, if not, yeah, it also makes sense anyways. So it's very good term. Sorry for being blind and not having read it properly before. I I am known to be somewhat capable of reading. No, that's not it. It's just that yeah, I have the phone. I have a chat on phone, and it is so far away that sometimes the I's and L's look all the same. But no, yeah, it's it's good. It's good. It's solid enough for me. Thank you. Thank you for looking for it and giving the meaning to me. Also, what was I saying? Ah, yeah, that something wonderful happens in this life. No, in the whole aspect of philosophy. There are so many authors that in the end end up being useful to actually explore, but I, I, I never feel like it's so necessary to exactly say, ah, yeah, these ideas belong to them. Unless we are in an academical environment, that is necessary, that is truly necessary. But in a normal day-to-day conversation, it ends up being so less useful. I think I finally started to accept the reality of, ah, yeah, I don't need to cite the sources when I am having a normal conversation. It's quite hard to actually understand that much. I don't need to say, ah, yeah, this isn't my thing, this is something that someone else said before. I People don't really care that much. Ah, but they should care. They don't care. It doesn't matter what they should or they shouldn't do. They don't care. It's kind of impossible to expect people, all of them, to out of nowhere change their ways. A philosophical proposal by Ricardo Sanchez Ortiz de Urbina. He focuses on the study of phenomenological levels, the stroma, and the correlations. Yeah, yeah. I I know about the stromas and such. It is you already gave it a little bit more of context before. It is that thing which is associated with the whole artistical creations and whatnot, and the whole depictions that are made by the artists in terms of those things which inside of them possess a little bit of or not a little bit, a truth, so to speak, or an aspect of reality that they describe once they are being applied. But I guess you could say that field in itself has a very close correlation also to, as I said before, semiotics. Issue is you don't really get until you have first generation, second generation, until the third generation of it. You don't really get to more artistical implementations of the analysis of the semiotical symbols onto the rest of the world. There is, I think it was Umberto Eco, that guy. He was sort of a contemporary of ours. I think he's still alive. I hope so. And yeah, people like him finally started to utilize the analysis of those symbols of the world into a more specific environment, or in a revised way, as to try to identify what they possess. Yeah, yeah. You already know him. See? That's why I say people like him do, to some degree, describe what you are going for from a different field, but they can still be useful to read if you are trying to deepen your ideas, I guess, or get, yeah, you're really on track on something, so get even faster to better conclusions, I guess. I don't know, so something like that. But yeah, what? Ah, yeah, I was saying, I don't know. Personally, I feel like it always is quite unnecessary in those, I was saying, normal conversations to have that aspect of, yeah, I heard this being said from this other person, or I was discussing these things with someone and I needed to give them the source and whatnot. In most cases, that truly does not happen. I guess I was perhaps even, let me actually expand on it now that I am starting to remember a little bit. I think that perhaps it even has to do to some degree with the whole imposter syndrome. Once you feel so much of a necessity to actually constantly demonstrate to others that what you possess is not yours, and you also live with the reality that the things that you are talking about are not your own ideas, but rather what you learned from others, unavoidably most people are going to feel like, in a way, what they are doing is not so unique, and what they are doing doesn't deserve so much praise because it is not unique to themselves, And it's only once the person can actually come to understand a little bit more that it does not play such an important role in the existence of anyone to continuously be, yeah, this thing comes from this place, and this is inspired by, or this is directly a quote from, and such. That is not just, I would say, liberating, but capable of letting humans in themselves have a faster communication. It ends up being way less efficient to continuously, let's say, between you and me, we have a conversation, and throughout that whole conversation, perhaps we 20, 30 times talk out, yeah, this person said this person said that. In the end, we might be losing so much time doing that. There is, once again, I said before, there are some contexts in which that is valuable. You have to know what you're saying to actually be capable of quoting properly, to not need to express that, because if you misquote, the wonderful benefit of misquoting is you say who you are misquoting, and the other person knows who you are misquoting. They can help you fix that, or unavoidably use that to argue against you, but otherwise, completely unnecessary. If we want to know, did you know the Bible, as the Bible said in the first page, and God said, bitter light or something like that. Is it necessary to quote something like that? Aren't we all capable of understanding that a reference to some degree? Sometimes, not everything is as necessary, I feel like. But yeah, point being, I don't know. That yeah, it's weird. I have felt like it is weird. There is a poem by Vtuber that is something of that to me. Why do you sing of the rose? So poets make it room in the poem. Only for us do all things under the sun live. The poet is the small god. What? Ah, okay, I understand it. Make the content sort of implicit instead of so explicit. Yeah, yeah. It's it's part of the usefulness, yeah. In a way, I feel like in the end it's wonderful to have many references. Unavoidably, yeah, we are all creations not of our own selves, but also influenced by others. But there is a sad aspect of constantly, I know, but as it was said in this page, in this paragraph, as we are not in an academical discussion, constantly being examined by others to see who commits the first mistake, to degrade us and to instantly fail when another once we commit enough of those errors while speaking. It's conversations can be a lot more lax, sadly, and we don't get that. So it's a lot more counterproductive. I feel like than what we're actually capable of understanding. But yeah, yeah, it it's basically that in the end. It's a lot more about doing, not so much about oh yeah, yeah. But I have to pay my respects. You already paid your respects by understanding it properly enough and integrating that with what you are saying. Isn't that respectful enough to pay enough importance to what other people are saying to consider it useful for your own arguments later on, for the other things that you said, to be capable of replicating that, you know? It's weird. I guess if you want something, perhaps it's one of those infinite or in the infinity of things that exist that have never truly been categorized in themselves. The whole aspect of but I need to pay respect in which way? Respect based on what? How are you truly paying respect and not just being cumbersome to your own person with the rituals of respect, quote unquote, and such? All of those things and all of those categories that remain unobserved and properly categorized and properly defined might as well be to some degree part of the problem, but it doesn't mean that the person cannot ever realize that. The general discourse does not possess such good explanations. Okay, that same poet wrote, colon, huh? Is this okay? There we go. The swallow comes, gondolating at the hormid of the mountain. The swallowing and the cello this morning taken down from the moon. It approaches at full gallop. Here comes the swallow, here comes the swinlow, here comes the strillo, here comes this stoplow, comes the shallow, comes the sweatlow, here comes this sarimelo, here comes the smellow, the sgerlow, the sturnlow, the slyrlow, This very slow, this carriage low, here comes the day low, and the night dawns, it glows like the leopard. Amazing. This this guy is crazy. Huiduro is very good. Thank you. But no, yeah, that's my trial. That thank you. I don't know. He just went fuck. Why? He Nah, it's good. It's what's the concept? It's the play of the words. Wow, clever enough analysis, amazing. No, it's the I guess I'm not a literary analyst, sorry, but it's something along the lines of basically the whole concept, based on what I understand, of how in itself the preposition basically changes with the rest of the words. So it's the swallow and everything else that ends in low is a possible not used expression in a way, and at the same time how that in the end even leads to the night draws its claws like the leopard. It's I don't know. I don't know. It's something along the lines of yeah. Basically, language funny. Altazoro, which has 7 cantos, and basically it does all the poetics experiments that come to mind. Yeah, yeah. That's in a way that's one of the many quote unquote common usages of poetry to play with words in that way. To once again, what we said before, neologisms and whatnot. In most cases, it's lacking, sadly, but there are some who actually do so properly and who the issue, I guess, is also not only to do it in a way in which you rhyme everything else. It's not okay. It's not necessary for a poems to rhyme. Okay, the message is far more important than the actual lyricality or rhythm that it contains in any way. That's what poetry itself is about. Once again, what you even said before, not about the description, not about the beautifulness of what you are saying, but rather about the image that you can portray with what you are saying. That's what matters. And in a way, sadly, yeah, it doesn't happen, at least. Yeah, in the most common ones, unavoidably, you look at successful poets, there are so many of them that do that. I remember, I am somebody who speaks Spanish. The only good example that I have, because I understand him a lot more easily, is Paulo Coelho. That guy is amazing. Yeah. That's why I say there are entirely prose poems. The only thing that exists poetical about it is the whole aspect of yeah, it's read in a rhythm, nothing else. But if people knew, if we all got to explore stuff, if we didn't simplify the world so much, wouldn't life be so much better itself? Perhaps, but does that mean that it happens? We are still quite hard to our own existences. Paulo Neruda Is it Neruda? I don't think so. I said Coelho, no? Let me see. Yes, it's this guy, Coelho. Neruda, I think I haven't. Yeah, I don't remember having read Neruda. He's incredibly famous. I have never read him. Let me, just in case. No, yeah, yeah. I never read that guy. I was Paulo Coelho. Paulo. Paulo. Coelho. Yeah, yeah. Not worry, not worry. I know. I know that sadly I have hard time actually speaking. So, ah, Coelho. Ah, he's good. He's good. He's more imagery. He has some good works, I guess. I don't know. You also have people like Borges, but he's not so much of a poet. He does have some poesy, but poetry. He's not in itself a poet, so you will be hard pressed to find. I think he has like one or two books, nothing else of poetry. And even then, that guy is incredibly weird in his own methods, so don't worry. Don't. Borges, yeah, yeah. Borges is different, but good. Uh, also, I'm somewhat feeling. I started to have. No, not. Well, no, yeah, it is a disease, yeah. Fuck. I'm getting so old. I mean, life is ending already. I am at the dusk of my existence so fast. It's so much. So over. So over. Everything is so over, man. Why were we placed here? If we were going to die so soon. No, no, no. It's just a running nose, nothing else. But it's annoying still. Ah, but it's good. It's part of life. We deserve to have issues like that, I guess. Ah, only short stories, poems, and essays? Essays? He wrote essays? I know that he wrote stories and poems, but essays? I never knew he wrote essays. I knew he was a professor, but he wrote essays? What? What? Uh, yeah. He did have some essays. Amazing. I don't know why everyone wants to write novels because they are easier. A novel doesn't require so much thinking. A novel is far more simpler. It's literally only prose. So, a new edition of his complete essays just came out. Amazing. He does have some already. I guess he mentioned some ideas. I don't know. Because, yeah, yeah. I see what he talks out, but it feels more like commenting based on what. No, whether it's a quick rundown, who knows actually what are all of the things that he wrote out. Even more, there is a collection, so. But yeah, point being, I don't know. I feel like unavoidably people don't do with anything. People don't really write that much already. So it's a lot easier just if you want to write for the sake of writing, to write a novel, it's simpler. And yeah, yeah. I I hear the whole album. It's good. And I mean Piazzolla is awesome himself. And wait, what else? Ah fuck. I lost myself. Yeah. That people barely write, and when they write, they are going to go for the lowest hanging fruit, you know? So it's simpler to actually write a simple novel than to actually try to write anything minimally complicated in a way. So that's why you end up with so many novels instead of anything innovative. So yeah. Piazzolla is the guy who directed most most. Piazzolla is tango, so yes, I know him. It's amazing. I don't know. I like Argentina, but I am an Argentinian, so my opinion is biased towards my own country. Don't take it. Ignore that. Don't visit Argentina if you can. No, no. We lose tourism. Tourism is a right, said somebody somewhere in Uruguay. ah, a short novel with like chapters in and it was there. It happens. I mean, it's harder to actually write anything. It sounds. I say it as if it was the easiest thing. Well, everyone is going to be willing to write. So if they are going to write, they should write something magnificent. No, whether it's incredibly hard, but not only that it happens, people also realizes many times it's harder to keep a coherent story together. You know, that's why it's also understandable enough. A short novel or a compilation of them is easier. You don't need to have so many things taken into account. But that doesn't mean that there is nothing at all to learn. There are so many wonderful aspects to novels. Ah, into Spanish? Amazing, amazing. Merecido. It can happen. I don't know. If if you want to speak, why don't you write in Spanish? It will be if it will be easier for you, just do that. I can understand. I mean, once again, soy argentino, así que it's not like I won't understand. The only issue is everyone else, I guess. Also, give me a second. I am out to lose my mind with this. There we go. Haberlo dicho antes. Sorry. I don't know. I tend to not say stuff like that. For no particular reason, actually. I am bored like that, actually. Don't worry. Happens. Happens. But yeah, it's good. Alright. However, we feel like and everyone else will have to do their own homework if they want to understand. Don't worry. Ah, also, tiny notes, yeah, the runny nose didn't stop. I'm going to die. So hate this. But no, I don't know. I don't have I don't have much to say. Yes, I am struggling incredibly hard against. Also, wait, we crashed. We crashed completely at some point. Amazing. I love streaming so much. How did we crash? Let me actually check. Do we have two boards out of nowhere? I am going to lose my mind. No. Okay. We crashed enough for me to have the OBS counter reset, but we didn't crash hard enough to actually have the stream be split into. So, good. Good enough. To some degree. Ay, 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 ay. But anyways, happens. It's part of the deal. What looks normal? What do you mean? No. Okay. Let me. Technicalities. Basically, in OBS you have something that is a bit. What is it? Drop frames counter. It shows how much when you lag, how much stuff gets destroyed. Things like the bit rate are affected and such. And if it lags hard enough, like it was the case, it completely resets or it directly crashes the stream. The stream didn't crash, but it lagged hard enough that we actually somehow ended up having the counter reset. So it happens, yes. At some point it did lag, like for the stream to go probably. Do you know the guy who is like yeah, the not like DC mode that appears when streams actually crash? That probably appeared for 1 second or two, and I am streaming. I cannot see it myself. I don't have a second monitor to see that. Happens. But yeah, anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Happens, but it's okay. It's okay. At least we got here so far, so I cannot get angry. I I don't know. I guess we should probably though start to wrap up, taking into consideration that it might crash again. And I am already starting to feel sick, so I will need to go and take my medicine and whatnot. I will need to go to sleep. Hate this. But yeah, I don't know. I hate allergies, man. Can we solve the allergies already? So many sicknesses being cured. When are we going to finally get rid of allergies? When is it going to happen? Can somebody kill them already? Can somebody cure all of those? No, I don't want to take a pill. I want to not have them. And that's the end of the question. But it's good. It's more like actually, it's not an allergy. It's just my body. I don't know, shutting down because I have been awake for way too long. That's the actual explanation, but don't worry. Happens. It's part of life. Ah, it's all good. I don't know. Anyway, question is, right? Right? Question mark. We have to raise somebody. I hate this. Okay. Let me choose somebody. It's actually a wonderful gift. How can you complain about that? It's so good to do your part, to be a decent citizen, to play the role that is expected out of you. I don't know if it is expected. It is wonderful to do what you can when you can, basically. But sometimes we don't understand how amazing it is to be a decent citizen of this world, denizen of this world. Because in the end, that's how we are. No, it's more like, have you never taken RLC pills? When you take them, you tend to not directly pass out, but it's as if you took what's the name of that other medicine? Uh, the one for sleeping, basically. But besides falling asleep, you also stop having allergies. But at the same time, because I can simply fall asleep, I shouldn't take the pills. I should simply go to sleep. That would be simpler. But it's this world. This world makes you a crazy person who believes that it's necessary to always be doing something, working towards something, or being useful in some way. You cannot go to sleep so early. You cannot accept that you can't keep being awake. You need to constantly drill onto your own head that you must squeeze up to that last bit of effectiveness. I hate this. But no, anyway. I found somebody. Is he? Let me check. Just in case. No, yeah, okay. He's still up. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah. I'm gonna raid this guy. Ace went for. And Miguel, as always, thanks for being here. It has been very good. And I don't know, yeah. I enjoyed this, but they are very sporadic. I don't know. Probably next time it's not gonna be like that. I have some games that I want to play. Probably we play something. We did like 2 entire streams without playing anything. Amazing. We didn't let the HD win, so that's enough. Now we can indulge with some video game next time. But anyways, that doesn't matter. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the time, for the patience, for the interest. Thanks for everything. Please do your part. Be diligent in your responsibilities. Be happy. Sleep, rest, hydrate, everything. And yeah, have a good one. And see you next time. And even if we don't, doesn't mean that you shouldn't do your part. Goodbye. But, anyways, more importantly, we are going to raid Ace, who is playing Stardew. Comfy game, comfy guy, amazing. And yeah, ciao ciao. And I think I don't hit it right now because it cuts off the stream. Amazing. Twitch, the most functional platform ever.